Hello dear students, welcome to English class. Today we will do chapter number 3 from your book Moments, Ishwaran the Storyteller, which is written by R.K. Lakshman. So dear students, before starting the story, we would come to know about the writer. Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Lakshmana, commonly known as R.K. Lakshman, was an Indian cartoonist, illustrator and humorist. He is best known for his creation, The Common Man, and for his daily cartoon strip. You said it in the Times of India, which started in 1951. R.K. Lakshman started his career as a part-time cartoonist, working mostly for local newspapers and magazines. While as a college student, he illustrated his older brother R.K. Narayan's stories in The Hindus. His first full-time job was as a political cartoonist for the Free Press Journal in Mumbai. Later he joined the Times of India, which is the name of a newspaper, and became famous for the common man character, which turned out to be turning point in Lakshman's life. So before starting the story, there is a question being asked to the reader. One night Mahendra woke up from his sleep and saw a dark cloudy form. The chapter, there is a question. So it clears that might be a story of ghost or there is a ghost in the story. Whether the ghost actually exists in the story or it is just a figmentation, let us read and come to know. The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra by name. He was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered on hire supervisors at various types of construction sites, factories, bridges, dams, and so on. Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then as ordered by his head office. From a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site, from there after a few months to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. So in the story there is narrator's name is Mahendra. Mahendra was a supervisor, junior supervisor. He is telling this story to one young man, Ganesha. Mahendra, who was a junior supervisor, he was sent by the firm to many types of construction sites. It could be of factories, it could be bridges, dams, and so on. So Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on all the activities going on the work site. Therefore, he had to keep moving place to place every now and then as ordered by his head office. So it might be a coal mine area to a railway bridge construction site. It might be a chemical plant or anything else. And at these places, he had to stay for few days or few months too. He was a bachelor. Mahendra was a It was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. But one asset he had was his cook, Ishwaran. The cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes, and chatted away with his master at night. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects. So, Mahendra, as being a bachelor, he did not face any kind of difficulty while being in this mobile job. Means he was usually sent one place to another for the observation of various construction sites, and as he was a bachelor, he did not face much problems by transforming from one place to another place, transferring from one place to another place, and he was able to adjust in any kind of condition. Wherever he found the place, he lived there. But asset one asset means one valuable thing he usually had with him, that was his cook Ishwaran. Ishwaran was always with him wherever he went without any complaint. So he cooked food for Mahendra, he washed clothes, he chatted away with his master at night, and he has a great skill, that was weaving stories on various subjects. Ishwaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients seemingly out of nowhere. In the middle of a desolate landscape with no shops made with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. So Ishwan was having one more skill, that was to produce vegetable and cooking ingredient in the middle of desolate landscape where no shop was visible for great distance, or where was not any chance of having those vegetables or anything else which was required for cooking food, and he himself produced the vegetables and ingredient from here or there by hook or by crook. Moreover, he was very good in making delicious dishes with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at a new place. Mahendra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Ishwan would tidy up the shed, wash the clothes, and have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. It would be lunchtime by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running hundreds of pages. Its imaginative description and narrative flourishes would hold Ishwar in thrill. So Mahendra usually went to the site early in the morning just after taking the breakfast and carrying lunch with him. After Mahendra's leaving, Ishwaran did all the household tasks. Mean to say, he tied up the shed, he washed the clothes, and after this he took the bath, and whatever he did all these tasks. After eating lunch, he would take some rest, and during the rest he would read some book which was usually based on Tamil thrill stories, imaginative stories, and which was Ishwan's favorite ones. His own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and a surprise ending into the account. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture. So, Ishwan was having a great skill to produce his own stories, his own descriptions. They were too much influenced by Tamil authors. Whatever he usually read during the rest at lunch, after lunch. So when he was narrating even the smallest of incident, he would try to put some suspense and surprise into that description. For example, if he was there to say that on the way he saw an uprooted tree, he did not say the simple things. He would say he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway. He would say that with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture. The road was deserted, and I was all alone. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. That it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Ishwan's tale uncritically. So Instead of telling a simple sentence that on the way he saw an uprooted tree, he described all the things. The road was deserted and he was all alone, and he found that it was a bushy beast, but after going near, he found that it was a broken tree, it was a fallen tree with its branches spread out. In such a way, he described this simple incident. And on the other side, Mahendra listened to him by stretching himself on the armchair without any criticism. The place I come from is famous for timber, Ishwan would begin. There is a richly wooded forest all around. The logs are hauled onto the lorries by elephants. They are huge, well-fed beasts. When they turn wild, even the most experienced mahout is not able to control them. After this prologue, Ishwan would launch into an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. So Ishwan was skilled in producing the story, and he usually told the story to Mahendra by his own production, by his own imagination. So he would begin his story with this line: the place I come from is famous for timber. And he told that the place was full of forest, wooded forest, and the log means heavy pieces of wood. The logs were hauled, one carried onto the lorries by the elephants there, and they are huge, well-fed beasts because they were very strong and very good, very big in size. When they turn wild, there was one thing about the beast, that when they turn wild, even the most experienced mahout is not able to tackle them, not able to control them. So when Ishwaran was telling this anecdote, he was continued with some incident. One day a tusker escaped from the timber yard and began to roam about, stamping on bushes, tearing up wild creepers, and breaking branches at will. You know, sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad? Ishwan would get so caught up in the excitement of his own story that he would get up from the floor and jump about, stamping his feet in emulation of the mad elephant. So when he was telling this story, that one day a tusker means elephant, one day a tusker escaped from the timber yard, and he began to wander in the city, in the wander about. He stamped on bushes and tearing up wild creepers and breaking branches at will. And and he tell that, sir, when an elephant became mad, do you know how he behaves? So without waiting for the answer from Mahendra, he, in his excitement of his own story, he got up from the floor and jumped about, stamping his feet in this way, as if he himself was a mad elephant. The elephant reached the outskirts of our town, so he continued the story without getting the answer from Mahendra about the elephant's nature. Selling fruits, mud pots, and clothes. People ran halter skelter in panic. The elephant now entered a school ground where children were playing, breaking through the brick wall. All the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the doors tight. So he told that when the tusker escaped from the timber yard, it entered into the town, and he created mess everywhere. He broke the fences like matchsticks. He smashed the stalls near the side on the side road, and people on the road, they started running here and there due to fear. And after this, the elephant entered into a school yard where the students were playing, and on seeing the elephant in the yard, the students also got afraid of it, and they starting running here and there. Ultimately, they run into the classroom and shut the doors tightly because of fear. The beast grunted and wandered about, pulling out the football goal post, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum capped for water, and uprooting the shrubs. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the terrace of the school building. From there, they helplessly watched the depredations of the elephant. There wasn't a soul below on the ground. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. So when the elephant get into the schoolyard and he created mess everywhere, all the students, because of fear, they ran into their classrooms or they stepped onto the terrace. During that time, the elephant was creating a lot of mess in the ground. He tore the volleyball net, he kicked and flattened the drum which was kept for water. Building, and they were helplessly watching everywhere, and they helplessly watching the destruction created by the elephant, and there was not a single one there who could help them. All the streets were empty, and the inhabitants of the entire town suddenly disappeared. It means they also went into their home or their home terrace to save themselves from the tusker. So, dear students, till that part of the story, we have come to know that Ishwan was telling the story of a tusker to his master during the night. Before this, we had come to know that Ishwan was himself was a skilled storyteller and he was telling a story. This is just some part of the story. Other part of the story will be shared in the next video. Till then, you just watch the video, get understand the story till now, and stay home, stay healthy. Thank you and have a nice day.